Welcome to the Town of Amenia Town Board meeting for Thursday, April 15th. Roll, please.
Supervisor Perotti?
Here.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Here.
Gutierrez?
Here.
Morris?
Here.
And Samoji?
Here.
And we're going to have a presentation by, Tara did come, Tara Grogan, Mark DeBald, and Shauna Kisman on moving Dutchess forward. It's a municipality-focused presentation. And I can share my screen if you'd like to, if you have anything that you want to share on your computer.
Hi, yes, we would like to share. Do you want me to run the presentation from my screen?
Sure, that would be fine.
Okay. Let me get this. So we're first on the agenda. I didn't want to make any assumptions. Okay, great. Let me get this started.
Yeah, and while Shauna is doing that, just maybe some quick introductions. My name is Mark DeBald, and I am with the Dutchess County Transportation Council, which is the designated metropolitan planning organization for Dutchess County. And we're actually hosted by the Dutchess County Planning Department. So we typically wear two hats. We're county planners some days, and then some days we're transportation planning staff for the MPO.
Okay, I just want to make sure I get the full slide presentation. Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Good evening, and thank you for welcoming our team to your meeting. My name is Shauna Kitzman, and I'm the project manager working with Mark DeBald and others from DCTC. We'll get into a little bit more on the team in a couple slides here, but we are delighted that you took us up on our offer to present Moving Dutchess Forward. We are happy to push into communities and share the work that we've been doing on the long-range transportation plan for Dutchess County. In light of COVID, we're not able to do traditional outreach, so this is the next best thing. Our team is comprised of Dutchess County Transportation Council. Mark DeBald introduced himself. He's supported by Emily, Dylan, and Tara is also on our call tonight. I'm the project manager for FHI Studio. We are a consulting firm based in Hartford, Connecticut, and we have offices in New York City and Philadelphia as well. And we're also supported by Planning for Places, and they're out of the Schenectady area. And we've been working seamlessly since about last summer, but really going full force since about November. So with that introduction, I will pass it over to Mark.
Great, thank you, Shauna. A couple key highlights. First, what is Moving Dutchess Forward? Maybe just to reiterate this point, Moving Dutchess Forward will be our newest strategic long-range transportation plan for Dutchess County. It is something we at the Dutchess County Transportation Council have to do every 5 years. So we last did our plan back in 2016, so we're updating that process now. So this will actually be our 7th long-range plan since 1982. And a couple highlights. One, this is a digital plan, so it's meant to be very interactive, and that was a decision we made early on in the process to kind of move away from a static PDF report and to build a more digital savvy, more digital friendly plan for the public, knowing that's how the public is consuming content nowadays. One of the benefits of doing that is that we've been able to create a map viewer. So if you do, and I do encourage folks to take a look at our Moving Dutchess Forward website, but you'll notice that there's also written content on the digital plan site, but also a map viewer. And that map viewer has a lot of different maps, a lot of different data sets, but that interactive digital component allows viewers to drill down into those issues that are most relevant or of most interest to them. So that's something you can't really do with a static paper map. So that's been a big benefit. And then also Moving Dutchess Forward, as we stated, is a long-range plan. Typically, we take a look at 20, 25 years in the future. So we are using a 2045 planning horizon for this county plan. And then in the last highlight, we've really built this plan around the 4 goals that we've established. 1, to prepare our system to adapt to changes in the future, to promote or provide access to all, safe and convenient access to all, regardless of their form of travel or situation, to identify those best practices and policies at various levels of government to promote access, then also to make transformative investments in our county and our region. So we're going to talk a little bit about each of these goals very briefly. I know we want to try to keep this presentation at about 10 to 15 minutes. Slide. We'll talk a little bit about our goal 1, hopefully. There, okay, there we go, great. Again, just a recap on our goals. Again, these goals form the building block of our plan. And again, prepare our system to adapt to changes, provide safe, convenient access, promote good policies, and make those transformative investments. So our next couple slides, we'll talk briefly about each of these goals. I will note that goal 1, our look at how to prepare our system for the future, and goal 2, provides us the content for those pieces of the puzzle here are live on our website, and we are soon going to publish our goal 3 piece and then eventually goal 4. But for goal 1, we frame this narrative under the moniker of learn. And what we're trying to do for this piece of the plan is learn about trends. There's lots of different topics and influencers on our transportation system. So we take a look at future population change or demographic changes, changes in travel behavior. We take a look at possible changes in housing, climate change, transportation technology, the economy, and jobs. And so we have our content on Moving Dutchess Forward talks each about these pieces of the puzzle for our long-range plan and some of the actions we can take or our role as a DCTC to improve access and remove barriers. And also, I should note that the images that you see on these slides are screenshots from our website. So again, we have written content on our plan website, then those map viewer pieces. So for goal 2, we frame this under assess. And what we're trying to accomplish with our discussion here is talk about what are those barriers to safe access, reliable access, and access to basic needs. We not only look at just vehicle crashes or vehicle traffic congestion, we also take a look at walking and bicycling access, bus access, and train access. So we do try to take a multimodal look at our transportation system. And that last piece on access to basic needs, in our next slide, we'll talk a little bit about that. But our discussion of basic needs, in our minds, gets to the heart of what we're trying to accomplish with this long-range plan, knowing that a transportation system doesn't exist on its own. You know, it's there to meet the basic needs of our population. And so for our narrative under access to basic needs, we take a look at those key components of a good quality of life, or what builds a quality of life. And that includes housing, of course, jobs, goods and services, which can include food and healthcare. We also take a look at educational services and recreational services. Again, we have written content on the plan website. And our map viewer talks a little bit about each of these components of a quality of life. This really kind of helps us humanize our discussion of transportation. So it's not just about roads and bridges. It's why do we have those roads? Why do we have those bridges? And why do we have those sidewalks? So our next slide talks about goal 3, our advocate section. And this is where we want to identify those best practices and policies that can remove those barriers and expand access. And we frame this discussion under really 3 levels. 1, those actions we can take at the DCTC ourselves that we can influence directly to achieve those goals that we've established for the plan. We also take a look at those county actions, and the county has a large influence on our system, whether it's through county public works or through county public transit. So we identify some of those actions that they can take to help move the needle forward. Then lastly, we talk about local actions, and we frame that narrative under a question and answer format. So for example, our next slide gives you an example of some of the questions that we've designed to help local officials whether it's at the town board or planning board or zoning board, to really prompt them to find more resources, to ask themselves some certain questions that do, again, help improve access and remove those barriers. So, for example, a town board or planning board might ask themselves, is our downtown safe and safe and easy to walk around? And so, for that question, we'll provide answers and resources, lots of links for further information to assist those local officials, again, to make their downtowns more walkable or bikeable. We also have questions about comprehensive plan and zoning ordinances, and how internal departments within a town that manage land use and transportation, how do they communicate? I think ultimately what we're trying to accomplish with this discussion on local, the local perspective, is knowing that local decisions, especially on the land use side, have a great impact on our transportation system. And so again, we're very close to publishing our content for Goal 3, and we do certainly invite feedback when that does go live from our local municipalities about, are there some questions that we're missing? Are there some answers that need more clarification? And so as soon as that's published, we do welcome your feedback on those issues. And then lastly, Goal 4 is our investment strategy. And we kind of term it as a financial plan. But this is where we talk about how much funding is available. And since we are a federally funded entity, and a lot of the funds that we deal with for capital projects come from the federal government, our financial plan will rely a lot on what those federal funding sources might be, whether it's for highways, sidewalks, or even transit. And of course, we have to take a look at state of good repair. So we have to know how much is needed to maintain our system, just to kind of tread water, whether it's repaving roads or fixing our bridges. But we also want to talk about those transformative projects, and I'll term those as our game changers, that go above just maintaining a road, but can transform a local community, whether it's, say, installing roundabouts in a town center or improving a sidewalk network within a village. And so we want to really take a look at those transformative investments and call those out in our long-range plan. And so with that, I'm going to hand it off to Shauna, who will talk a little bit about our survey that recently closed.
Yeah, one of our first steps in terms of public engagement was to launch a bilingual survey to understand the people of Dutchess County's transportation challenges. We conducted this, advertised it through a variety of printed material, digital material, social media through the county. And we got a pretty decent response. I think there was only one zip code that was not represented in the survey responses. The summary of the data that we found and how we administered the survey is available on the project website, but I will touch upon a few key elements tonight. We asked folks about the different types of trips that they're taking. So as Mark mentioned, trips to school, work, the pharmacy, that sort of thing. As you can see here, when we asked what the biggest or broadest transportation challenges that folks face, the lack of public transportation and limited access ranked pretty high. And here you'll see that the top answer reflects that. For pedestrian and bicycle amenities, those were pretty closely tied for second place. And then congestion of the roadways and traffic, as well as safety of roadways, came in third. But I think what, the upshot here is that all the responses really do show a cross-section of the different modes throughout the county. When we asked folks what their top priorities were for their
far more than I would expect. I think you guys are providing a really valuable service that tends to be not really well known about, but for the people who rely on it, it's critically important. And so it's important for you guys to get the feedback that you need to improve or expand that service.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned also our map viewer. If you do look at our map viewer, we do have a a layer that shows bus service access, or how, if it's frequent service or infrequent service. And I think we all know that the Harlem Valley, it's tough to provide, I guess, frequent and reliable transit service. I will put a plug in for our Dutchess County Public Transit division. They're actually working with another consultant on a transit-specific plan for Dutchess County. So you may have seen some material on that recently, but they are doing a very dedicated, transit look, and especially looking at our non-urban rural areas. So Northern Dutchess and the Harlem Valley, and it is a priority, not to speak out of line, but for a priority for Dutchess County to find good solutions, transit solutions for those lower density areas. So they are trying to make it even better.
Great. The last thing I was going to say is that we have or Victoria or Vicky, what's it technically called? Our rail trail is a non-vehicular alternative transit corridor. Is that what it? Yeah. We have a pretty critical and relatively new piece of transit infrastructure here in our town, which is mainly meant for pedestrians and bicyclists to get from one of our major hamlets to the train station. And I think that we as a town would be open to any ideas that your team may come up with to help promote use of that, or help identify funding for maintenance, or possibly expansion or anything. So I think that would be of interest specifically to the town. And that's all I had to say.
Great.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you very much, Mark and Tara and Shauna, for doing this presentation for our taxpayers so that they can see exactly where the future of Dutchess County Transit is heading. We appreciate all the information.
Yes, and again, please feel free to contact us with any feedback about the long-range plan. We do appreciate putting us on the agenda.
Thank you for being here.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, supervisors report. Lavelle Road Pump House upgrade. The town engineer is getting hydrogeologist proposals for new wells at Washington Court. New York State budget for 2021-2022. The Association of Towns successfully lobbied for no change to AIM payment for towns instead of a 20% proposed cut. In addition to CHIPS funding increase of $100 million for highway roads, an additional $50 million increase for Pave New York, $100 million increase for Bridge New York, and $35 million increase for extreme winter recovery. 3 Altice negotiations are in progress for American Rescue Package. Supervisor Perotti attended Association of Towns conference call on April 13th. The town of Amenia is projected to receive $480,000. However, New York State is projected to receive half of the allocated amount in May or June, which will be forwarded to the town within 30 to 90 days. Town of Amenia COVID-19 coronavirus. The town hall will remain closed, but will be available to departments by appointment. Department extensions are posted on the front door. There's also a doorbell to the left of the main door. Each department is also available by phone, email, mail, and secure lockbox on the building to the left of the front door. Town board and other meetings will be held by Zoom until May 6th, when town board meetings will resume in person with social distancing protocols in place. Public comments for town board meetings can be made by email or mail, sent to the town clerk, who will read them at the meeting. Court in-person appearances have resumed. Vaccine information can be found on the front door, Channel 22, and on the website. Sign up at www.dutchessny.gov/ vaccine info form, or call the Dutchess County Coronavirus Information Line at 845-486-3555. Select option 1 to hear the weekly vaccine allocation updates, then select option 2 to be connected to the Office of the Aging and added to the notification list. For anyone who is homebound, vaccine appointments can be made at 845-486-2555 to arrange for a vaccine appointment to be administered at home. The town hall will be open to modify recreation activities with all COVID-19 protocols in place. In addition, the Recreation Commission and other committees will be able to meet in person as long as COVID-19 protocols are followed. Please continue to wear face coverings, be mindful of social distancing. Also remember to not touch your face, wash your hands often, and use hand sanitizer. Be well and stay safe. Town clerk report.
Good evening. For anyone that's seeing that we're going in and out on Zoom, I have confirmed with Mike that we are up and running. So thank you for the notifications. That's very helpful because you're in TV land and you can tell us what's going on. So hopefully we're up and we're full good now.
No, we are.
We're up.
He lost
went running.
internet access and then got it right back. So
Yeah, seems like we're losing the same time each meeting. Okay, so anyway, going back with town clerk's report. From the last meeting, we tabled February 4th and February 18th. Have you guys had the opportunity to review those minutes?
Yes.
Is there a motion?
Motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
Thank you.
from February 4th.
You have February 4th and February 18th.
Of February 4th, 2021.
Second,
Supervisor Perotti,
yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Samoji.
Yes.
February 18th,
Motion to approve the February 18th minutes as submitted.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Samoji.
Yes.
Thank you. Tax collection through today at 10:43 a.m. We've collected $5,804,718.89 with an additional $6,692.81 in penalties remaining uncollected in the amount of 135 parcels. The dollar amount is $606,393.32. Presenting to the board the vouchers for this month. This includes the prepaid as well as those through Monday or normal April. Total is $170,371.10. Breaking them down by fund, and again, this is our prepaids and our regular monthly abstract is $133,944.60. Highway fund, $13,070.68. Amenia lighting, $18,334.89. Wasake lighting, $585.12. Amenia water, $4,435.81. Again, for a total of $170,371.10.
Bill Murray, if you could you explain to me why the period is from 4/12/2021 through 4/12/2021?
So Jim asked the question earlier today, which I think is a great question. If you were to look back at every single abstract for the past, I don't know how many years, since Marge has been here, she prints it out on Monday. Bills are due before she runs them on Monday, before the town council members come in to sign them. This abstract is the ones that everybody has signed. This is through Monday morning or when she gives them to me or later in the afternoon. It always has to go through Monday. Now, I got your email when I got here this evening, so I haven't been able to confirm what March, but I can tell you she can't run 2 abstracts on the same day. So when she goes out and she's paying her bills, if you'll note in there, you have your prepaids and you have your regular April column. Your prepaids is everything that she's paid from our last meeting through that date. In order for her to run additional abstracts, she's going to start running them on Tuesday or Wednesday. Those are going to be considered prepaids. If she was to use through today's date, anything that she has for prepaids aren't going to appear on the May bill because we're not going to have them part of this collection. This was live time through what she gave out to you guys, what you approved.
Okay, that's the first time that I looked at it like that. Crazy.
And you always see that I say the abstract, and we go through today's meeting date. And when she gave it to me actually yesterday, by the time I reviewed them today, went through and I verified that the amounts, all I do is verify that all of those bills have at minimum 3 signatures on them. I ensure that they've followed any of the rules that you guys have set in place. I ensure that the amounts match. She does all of the preparing. You actually have your staff does all that.
Okay.
She does it the date she gives it to us. And if you ever look on the bottom of the corner, it can show you the date to which she actually ran the report, because I know this month she had to add in some late arrivals because she experienced that this month. So that's where the date comes in to play.
Good enough.
So is anybody willing to make that motion to authorize the supervisor to pay claims for April?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I second it.
Thank you, Michelle. Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Council members Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Samoji?
Yes.
Tonight, in regards to public comment, I did share a public comment that I received, and Vicki Doyle has made a public comment. So I'd like to acknowledge receipt of 2 public comments. One from Andrea Walton and the second one from Barbara Miley, both regarding to the progress, or should I say no progress thus far, regarding Altice. So if the board members can confirm that they've received each of those comments. I don't know, Vicki, are you going to make this part of your?
I can. I do think that it should be read aloud unless there's a good reason not to. I thought, Victoria, in your report that you said public comments would be submitted by email to the town clerk and read as part of her report.
Yes.
I can do that. So Vicki, this was actually sent to you and you were kind enough to send it to us. So I received this and acknowledged it on April 14th, even though it was sent to you on the 13th. Vicki, thank you for speaking with my manager, Rick Alfonso, regarding the cable issue with my neighbors and me. According to Carmen Rodriguez at Altice, there are 3 poles that NYSEG has deemed need replacing before they will commit to leasing to Altice. Nothing can move ahead until those poles are replaced. So NYSEG said, it is not a great number of poles. I have already paid for running the conduit on my property whenever it was available, my neighbors, and I have suffered many years of neglect in this matter, forcing us to seek alternative through interfere access. We have simply been ignored here at the border of the New York/Connecticut. Broadband has become an essential tool for us for living life at this time. We do not have it. I understand that this issue is not on the agenda for the upcoming board meeting on Thursday. I would kindly ask that you, however, to speak with on my neighbors and my behalf and on the appeal of NYSEG. Also on behalf to replace those poles that we may move forward. I would also appreciate anything that you may be able to say on our behalf. And that is every time she's saying you, she's referring to Councilwoman Doyle. Second comment that we're receiving this evening is from Barbara Miley. It's the proposed renewal of the franchise renewal agreement. She's addressing the board. She is writing to give you a progress report, actually a non-progress report, to follow up on Altice's comment to provide broadband service to the 4 residences along 343 in Amenia as per the attached sheet. We are very much appreciative of the town board's efforts in requiring Altice to provide broadband service to these unserved residents. But I am disappointed to report that 9 months later, none of these residents have broadband service. There have been back and forth communications with Altice, but still no service and not even a committed date for service to commence. Altice has pointed fingers at the utility companies for failing to provide pole authorization. In my experience, these types of installations will only get done when Altice is required to make the service a priority, but apparently that is not the case. I have attached an email sent to Altice operations representative about this lack of progress. I urge you Remind Altice of its commitment and to provide a firm date of installation for service at these locations. On behalf of these residents, we request that you address this matter with Altice. If you have any other additional questions, you may contact Ms. Miley, and she provides her personal email address. And she...
I'd like to comment.
Sure.
To the public comment. I did follow up with my contact at NYSEC, and I'd like to read the email that I received from him. I spoke with our joint use group who reached out to our Altice contact. According to our contact, they never indicated that any license was denied, but that the application was simply pending pole licensing from NYSEC. With the help of our joint use group, we have reached out to the engineer to get this job expedited. It is going through the normal processing steps. The field survey results are currently being evaluated by the engineer, and a preliminary design should be going out to Altice and the joint owner in a few days. And I will, give regular reports on how this is progressing.
What was the date on that email, Victoria?
Wednesday, April 14th.
You sent it around to the rest of us. I just couldn't remember. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that what has, I can only imagine that Victoria, by you reaching out directly to NYSEG, has moved this up the food chain sufficiently high on priority lists to re-inject a sense of urgency. So I appreciate you doing what needs to be done by a supervisor who has more clout than the residents along that road. So I appreciate you stepping in and giving that extra push. And I think we're going to have to continue pushing, is my guess, given it's been 9 months with no real movement forward.
Well, I'll be following up with them weekly.
Yeah,
and become the squeaky wheel.
Yeah, no, I think that's what we have to do.
Also in our packets this evening and circulated to the board, I'm going to acknowledge receipt of our highway report from Megan. Megan indicates that last week they started grading our dirt roads and that we should be finished with them next week. They did we did a couple of days of cleaning up garbage along the town roads. This week we swept all the town roads. A new company, East Coast Industrial Services, did a great job. The roads were done in 2 days rather than 3. That's good news. SCBI does give us his monthly March report indicating the total number of gallons, 1,066,400. He does go through and indicate what his service calls are and the water lines that he had to mark out for the dig outs for Safe New York. Reports that he had emergency repairs and then his other items that he completed. Also acknowledging receipt that we received this evening was our recreation report from Kelly. Kelly, thank you for that. She does tell us that the Easter egg hunt was a huge success. They had approximately 100 kids that participated. She gives a special thanks to the businesses that donated: Silo Ridge, Jack's Auto, Dutchess, Country Realty, Revelard, Public Relations, and then Mina Four Brothers. Also a special thank you to our Easter Bunny. She made the whole day. The baseball pitching and catching clinic finished up a couple weeks ago. We were able to have the clinic while this was being CDC compliant. A huge thank you to John Lamb and Tom Downey for their dedication to helping these kids learn. Baseball signups have started. Remember to sign up online at ameniarecreation.com. And she is also giving a request for anybody that is looking to volunteer. We all know it takes our volunteers to make these programs work, and she is looking for coaches. I also saw that advertisement on Facebook. So parents out there, if you want your kids to participate in these programs, we do need your help because it's the coaches that get these teams up and going and work closely with all of our players and all of our students. So please reach out to Kelly and let her know that you're available to coach. The other request that I have in front of me is for the use of the fields. This is on behalf of the Weebatuck Valley Youth Soccer League. They are looking to use the softball field at Beekman Park for travel soccer practice once a week. They will work around any baseball practices, games, or other events. We will also take the necessary precautions and comply with the current guidelines due to the pandemic. They are hoping to use the softball fields on Thursdays beginning at 5:30 p.m. I did reach out to Trisha Lawrence, who is the contact for that, and I explained that unfortunately, since we had received it too late, they weren't able to start their practice tonight, which is okay. It's a rainy night, so it all worked out. Historically, they use the fields the first week of September, and they go through the first week of November, but this is great. They're looking to start a little sooner and get those kids in shape. So they did provide me their insurance already, and I just want to get the approval from the town board to go ahead and allow this soccer league to start a little early.
I have a question. I don't know if this is the right time. It is to do with recreation. The first question I had is, has all the sponsors actually provided the money pledged to the Easter egg hunt? Because as of Wednesday, when we were signing vouchers, it wasn't all in.
No, we're still missing 2.
Okay, so that's in progress. And the second question is, I appreciated very much the Kelly Milano's recreation report. I think that's very, very helpful to even give us a snapshot of what's coming up and how well the programs have done in the past. But when I went to the My Rec portal where kids can sign up for baseball, which I thought was very good. It shows just that we have baseball and soccer being offered. So I guess that is the total extent of the recreational offerings that we have currently on our plate, or at least on our website. And my main question is, and I put it in a message, I'm just putting it in the chat. I'm going to send that now. Basically, my question is when you go to that portal and you click on baseball, I believe, you get a message at the bottom that says, do you want to be a sponsor? And if you do want to be a sponsor, you'll get your business name on a t-shirt, blah, blah, blah. You'll be a confirmed sponsor, send your URL and a picture. Does that mean that they have to pay to be a sponsor? It says send a check or pay online. Now, my understanding is that we're not supposed to be soliciting donations. So is this a mixed message to?
Well, I think it's probably letting places know that they can sponsor teams.
Okay.
So in the past, I mean, I can only go back, prior to Kelly, we used to, for Little League, we used to obtain a sponsor, and then that's how we had a different jersey, because that sponsor would pay for the entire cost of the fancy jersey, and they had their name on the side, and the kid got their name on the back.
I think the coaches got the sponsors, didn't they, Dawn?
Yeah, I think so. I think that
didn't get the sponsors.
Yeah,
it
no,
was actually the coaches.
So we can confirm this with Kelly. I think it would be best that we confirm it with Kelly so she understands the process. And then I think we can get maybe your liaisons and the rec, you guys can all get on page with that, and then we can have an email just so everybody's on the same page. If there's any amendments that need to be done to my rec, it'd be good to get that amended now before the season gets in full swing.
Is that you, Dawn, who would make those?
Kelly.
Kelly.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, she's the one that I can't. We can get with her.
Okay.
I'm sure she's watching. I'm hoping she's watching. But not to I saw, I'll tell you how this all started. I saw let's first, can I get permission for them to use the fields? Soccer, yes. So I
make a motion to allow, what is this?
Weebatuck Valley Youth Soccer League.
To give the Weebatuck Valley Youth Soccer League permission to use the fields. at Beekman Park for their practices.
I second it. Thank you, Michelle. Supervisor Prodi,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Samoji. Yes.
One quick question on that. When we have, I mean, I know when we have private organizations using town hall, for example, we have a
You're going to
building.
go where I'm going.
Okay,
You're going to present my question.
take it away, Dawn. Just wondering about building. and
This,
facilities.
yeah. So this is it's not a baseball program. And that is why immediately upon seeing it on Facebook, I called Kelly before 8 o'clock in the morning and I got the request and I got the insurance and I told her I was presenting it tonight. And they were politely informed that they were not having practice tonight. With that being said, here we are. They have permission. They have been an ongoing organization that has been using that field. My kid is 19, so he started when he was 3. So you see how long I've been involved playing soccer at those fields. So it's always been an ongoing activity there. It's grandfathered. I am now getting requests for use of the fields. I'm getting requests from other soccer organizations. I'm getting requests from moms who want to get 10 boys together to use the field. That's actually what my next topic is I want to ask this question for conversation between this board to give me direction and I can give direction to the Rec Commission. How do you vision giving permission to use the Beekman Park? There's currently no building use form. There are currently no fees set. There is currently no insurance requirements. Should you want to use this building prior to our pandemic, we have a building use form. Mm-hmm. We have a fees set and we know it's $1 million insurance. This is the first true time that we're having entities wanting to use Beekman Park more frequently. So I need a little guidance on how the town wants to move.
Well, first of all, the priority goes to our local youth. I mean, we have baseball, we have a local soccer that are going to be, and also Weegatuk, who are going to be using the fields. I don't think we should be allowing the fields used by everyone when we already have events scheduled and for current use.
Yeah.
And anybody who wants to come in and, I mean, to go to the town clerk is the wrong place to go to begin with. They need to go to the Recreation Commission.
And I did send both persons to Rec Commission. Because they have to be approved and I explained to them the intense scheduling that we currently have. So they're aware of all this. And I think that the current heightened interest is because Millerton is redoing their fields. So they don't have, playgrounds. So I think that's why
our number one priority is to accommodate what we have.
And I did tell her that we have soccer on Thursdays. I did share with her that. So I don't know what's the outcome of these individuals, but it's just that I'm getting these questions. And I don't know what you want.
Yeah, but they need to, whatever they want to do, first of all, they need to present it in writing. They can't just call you up and say, well, I want to do this on this day.
And they did, and I forwarded it to you and Kelly, so that way you would see these are other programs that are looking to start here to do a training.
Yeah, the only one I received, whatever that soccer outfit was.
Yeah.
That other soccer, other than what soccer we have. I don't know who those people are.
And then they're from Connecticut.
Well, if I can just weigh in here a little bit, I still advise the board to consider having agreements in place with these youth organizations. There are a number of opinions out there that service agreements and license agreements need to be in place for organizations like Little League, Pop Warner, these soccer leagues. There should be something in place for them to use the parks.
Yeah, and Ian, to address that, that's what Victoria was saying when we have asked people in the past to go before rec is, not just to introduce the idea, but to seek their sponsorship of the activity as an official Town of Amenia rec offering. And so, once it is sort of officially offered by the town, then it's a program that addresses the issues that Victoria was saying that, is for the benefit of our youth. Jim, I had sent you a brochure that New York Municipal Insurance Reciprocal put together, just about sort of liability with the parks. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that, but I would encourage all the board members. You guys were copied. If you look on the first 2 or 3 pages, it really goes into a very high-level summary of the public trust doctrine and how municipal parks are organized and how land acquired for those public purposes should be used. Gives a nice breakdown of permitted and unpermitted uses of parkland in New York State. It's pretty easy to read, I think, and maybe we should also share that with the Rec Commission so that they have an understanding of what's permissible and what's not.
I agree.
I think that's a very
It
good
was pretty
idea. Yes. I'm sorry, Jim.
It's okay. I read through portions of it, Damien. I thought it was very well done, and I think it should be shared with the Rec Commission.
Yeah.
So regarding reservations, it says this: special recreational facilities may be reserved by segments of the public so long as the public at large has an equal opportunity to use the facilities in question. This would include like a pavilion, a gazebo, a field, etc. Exclusive use of any part of a park facility is improper. Recreational facilities are for the general use of the public, even though time to time portions of the facilities are used by particular groups of the public. Obviously a large like Little League that takes up 2 or 3 fields or all of the fields at Beekman, in one evening, they actually address that sort of exception. But as long as we're not charging for admission to the games, organized sports teams can be given reasonable use of the park. Ian, to your comment about entering into a license agreement, I think if somebody were asking to operate some sort of for-profit endeavor, even like a concession stand or something, or I'm not sure how the soccer training is organized. I don't know if they're organized as a for-profit endeavor or a nonprofit, or I don't know if the distinction even matters. But if somebody's doing something and charging for it and using town land, then I agree that we should probably have a license agreement with that person. If they're asking for financial contribution in order for members of the public to participate. I'm not a lawyer, though.
So how many requests have you had, Dawn? Because I know we received the one soccer company who I hadn't heard of before.
And then I have the woman who has the 10 boys, and I asked her to put it in writing so that way I could forward it to you and Kelly. I have not received it as of yet.
So basically,
but
you
I
only
did
have the
other one, but this is not the first time we've come across this question. We get questions like, can you rent out the pavilion? I said, no, you don't rent out the pavilion. You want to go down and have a picnic, have fun. But I do like to share with them the high frequent use of all of our teams. I know every night once school, baseball season starts, I say it's used every night. You have all the different teams. You have our fall, our regular baseball teams are there. You have your little team leagues, farm leagues, then you have Monarchs, and you have Little League. And so I like to let everybody know that it's a high visible and it's a very exercise field that to have a party at 5:30 on a Friday or a Thursday is not going to happen because there's already designations for that location.
Which take priority.
So they understand that. I mean, if that you want to share cupcakes with everybody down there, you got an extra 100 cupcakes, bring 100 cupcakes down. But so I think that that's something that I just needs to be clear, so that way when people are asking, they know what's set in place. And the fact that I've had these questions, you know, over the last 2 years, I just kind of really want to know, what is the board vision of using that space? I mean, I know, you know, it's not that we have people there to manage and to ensure the safety and well-being. It's not being, you know, it's not manned. So, I mean, I think there's just a lot of issues that come with renting out a space. You know, then there's garbage, and then, you know, there's just different things.
We should have a process.
Yeah.
Do we have,
Go ahead, Michelle.
do we have like guidelines?
No, we have nothing.
Nothing. So we should have, like you say, the process. We should have something that says, Beekman Field, you're going to use it for whatever it is, and this is what you have to do. You bring the garbage in, you take the garbage out, you clean up after yourself. You have an allotted time from this time to that time to use whatever facilities we have there. You know, kind of like specifying everything out as to what's going to take place, or what we perceive will take place. If they're going to barbecue down there, by bringing their barbecue equipment in and stuff like that, kind of like get a general overview of a checklist kind of thing, that we understand what's going to take place. And when someone comes in and wants to request using the place, when there's no baseball games going on down there, that we can say, okay, you can use the pavilion Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock and have whatever it is they're going to have there. And we have guidelines. And then I think if we also could look into see, like, is it going to be now, Ian, you're going to talk about this, covered, whether our insurances would cover them coming in and doing it like that we're scheduling them, or if there should be a fee. For example, I'll just give you this brief example here. In Tally Ho, we have a clubhouse. Right now it's closed because of everything else in the world is closed. But we as residents may rent the clubhouse for a birthday party, whatever we want to have, anniversary party, and we pay a small fee. And the small fee goes to say that you will clean the place up, straighten the place up, take your garbage out, and all of those other good things. And then there's the agreement that you will get a percentage or all of it back, depending on the conditions that you leave the place or how it's done. So we do that here for our small community. So I think, like, if a small fee for a usage of the area, like if they don't take their garbage out and we've got to send our people down there to clean it up and stuff like that, that they should know that they have to be charged for that or pay for that. Otherwise, I'm very happy with anybody using anything we have and having a good time. But we need to have some guidelines for ourselves as board members on the town of Amenia. So when people ask us these questions, we can say, this is what it is and how it's done, and then have a document that states these are the things that you can do. We have such a thing like Tally Ho. I'm using Tally Ho as a thing because we've been doing it for 100 years down here. That if you rent the place, you know you've got a little piece of paper that says you have to do this, you have to come in on this time, you have to clean up after yourselves, you have to do whatever it is. You have to bring your garbage in, take your garbage out. You can't leave any food left over here, and things of that nature. And also, if you damage anything, you will be charged for it.
Well, and Michelle, that's why I'm beginning that initial conversation. So if the board wants to investigate, look at what Dover does, look at what Dover costs, look at town of Washington. There's Clifton Park charges us when we had an event up at their pavilion and their outdoor parks. So I'm just bringing that to the attention of the board. Is that something that you guys want to venture and add into our fee schedule? You guys are the board. You guys make that determination.
We need to establish something.
Yes.
Some type of guidelines, some type of fee schedule. And I think, if we see what other towns are doing, we can come up with with what we want to do.
Great. So we have here in Amenia being offered by the Amenia Historical Society an Amenia show and tell. Bring an item from the past. And I don't know if I'm like too far, too close, or how I am, Mike. I'm sorry if it's not a good
I can
picture,
see
but
you.
it's Sunday, May 2nd, 2 p.m. at the Indian Rocks Schoolhouse Pavilion right here on Mygat Road. Masks and social distancing is required. For more information, can't read backwards, Strauss. So you're calling Mrs. Strauss. But it's bring an item from Amenia's past and tell about its history. So we do have another great local event going on. And everyone that has attended and were able to obtain tickets for our chicken barbecues, whether you hit Wasake Fire or Amenia's Fire, thank you everyone for supporting your fire departments on their recent meals. And that'll conclude the town clerk's report.
Okay, discussion, results of the Amodio property composting complaints investigation. Ian?
All right. So there have been a number of recent complaints received by the town board with regards to activities that are being conducted at the old Allen Sand and Gravel site located at 549 Route 22. Currently owned by Amodios is how we've been referring to them. These complaints specifically are alleging illegal composting and illegal solid waste management or operation of an illegal solid waste management facility. In response to these complaints, the town board has authorized me to investigate the matter, which I have. My investigations have included reviewing the town building department records with regards to the site. I've had multiple conversations with DEC. I've requested, actually, I've had multiple conversations with Mike.
Could you please also include who you spoke with at DEC?
Sure. I spoke with Ryan Leduc. He is the mined land reclamation specialist for this area. And I spoke with Ashley Johnson, who is counsel. So she was on the phone call, well, on phone calls. So I've also spoken with Mike Segelkin with regards to the site. I had requested that Mike Segelkin go out and do a site inspection and provide a report for that. I've had multiple conversations with the current owner's attorney, Len Violi, with regards to the site. I have researched the town code and the state regs with regards to this. And I've also contacted the prior operator of the site, Kip Weigelt of Gromax. Based on the investigations that I've conducted, conversations that I've had, and the research that I've done, there is no evidence of any composting being conducted at the site. When I spoke with Ryan Leduc of the DEC, he's been monitoring the site for the past 6 years. Since it was purchased by Amodios, he's been to the site 2 or 3 times. Since then, either him or his staff have been there. Prior to that, he has yearly inspections on the site. And during that time, he's never seen any composting or had any composting reported at the site. Mike Segelkin, when he conducted his inspection of the site, that was done on March 31st, he too found no evidence of composting. He saw mulch piles, 6 piles of mulch, and he saw 1 small pile of topsoil, but no composting that he could find. The owner the owner's attorney, in my conversations, has indicated that there's no composting operations occurring. That's not what they do. That's not what they want to do. They aren't being conducted at the site. He's put that in writing. So has the owner themselves put that in a separate writing. So there's two letters, one from the owner, one from the owner's attorney, indicating that there's no composting being conducted. And that the only activities that they are doing on the site, pardon me, is mining, topsoil mixing, which is basically taking the mined sand and silt, and they mix that with bedding material. And then mulching. Those are the three activities that they are seeking to continue using and conducting at the site. Prior to purchasing this site, they purchased it on April 22nd, 2020, as part of their due diligence. And when they were going through their process to purchase it, they did obtain a determination letter from the building department regarding permitted activities on the site. And that was issued by Mike Segelkin, who is the administrative official who is charged with enforcement of the town's code. And he issued a letter dated September 26, 2019, indicating that the mining, topsoil mixing, and mulching uses were pre-existing uses on the site, and that no special permit or site plan is necessary so long as they stayed within the parameters of activities that were conducted in the past. That letter was filed on the same day with the building department, which makes it a public record. It also starts a time frame for any appeal to that decision, that determination. No such appeals were taken with regards to that determination. And absent any successful appeal of that determination, the mulching and topsoil activities are legally permitted uses on the site, again, to the extent that they were being conducted before. It should also be noted that the town's code defines a solid waste exactly the same way as the state regs. They mirror each other. In fact, our town code references them. So in the state regs, they specifically exclude from the definition of solid waste animal manure and associated bedding material and mulching. Those two items are specifically exempted from the solid waste management program. So even under our town code as it stands, they would not be defined as a solid waste, therefore not regulated as a solid waste. So based on the investigations, based on what I have seen, there is no evidence of any composting at that site at this time. There's no evidence of any solid waste at the site, and there's no evidence that that Amodios is operating a solid waste management facility.
That's pretty thorough. I don't think we need to say anything else.
Agreed.
There's no evidence, there's no evidence. So that's it.
But can I just say that, I mean, I've been on the board now for 5, almost 6 years. I don't think it's standard practice to announce on TV a non-issue of a situation. I'm just, I guess, a little confused. But, you know,
Well, it was supposed to be open, so it seems to me that we've gotten an opinion from council, and it's a pretty clear opinion. So in my mind, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't, at least from my perspective, announce it.
No, I get it. I'm just saying, like, imagine a neighbor complains about, their neighbor weed whacking or, using their blower on a Sunday morning or something. If Mike's called out to investigate, or if Mike determines there's no non-issue, we don't typically get on TV and announce that. Anyways, I appreciate the work, Ian. It was very thorough. I agree.
Thank you.
I just am a little confused about the process here, but all good.
Good job, Ian. Good job.
Thank you.
If there's no more questions or comments, we can move on to Wassaic Boarding School skateboarding agreement. Jim Morris, you want to?
Yeah, Ian provided me with some materials, and I did some independent research myself. And I think Ian is correct that we do need to have an agreement. A revocable license agreement would do the trick. It doesn't have to be in writing, but it should be in order to protect the town. Skateboarding is not as dangerous as football or basketball, but it's still a dangerous sport. And it wouldn't be prudent if we had nothing in writing to show what the rights and obligations of each of the parties is. So it should be spelled out in a document. I know that this sounds a little strange, but if you make a payment to an individual or entity, even in furtherance of a public purpose, it violates the gift and loan provisions of the New York Constitution unless there is some legal obligation of the town to make the payment.
Well, who's making a payment?
One entity. Pardon me?
Who's making a payment to
the town? The town got a grant of $2,500, which is going to this young man or his company.
I believe the grant went directly to the young man to.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
No.
No, sir. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the problem.
Got it.
So, things have to be spelled out. There's got to be signage. The permission statement that you told me about, which I agreed with. The kid's parents should sign something that gives the boy or girl permission to do it. There should be a waiver of liability. All kinds of things that I think should be there. There should be signage at the facility. Somebody's got to know who's going to be responsible for maintaining. What is it? It's the old tennis courts. Is that what it is? Or the basketball courts?
Tennis court.
Back in the town board. So somebody's got to be responsible for that. So this person or his entity, if I don't know if he's incorporated or what, but he's got to have some insurance. And I realize that he's not getting paid a lot of money, but he's got to have insurance. The town should be named insured. Also, I don't know if Mr. Barnes is an insurance company agent or whether he's a private agent. If he's a company agent, that's one thing. Then they're bound by what he wrote. If he's not, then he's considered our agent, and we would have to get something from the insurance company itself to show that we are covered and protected. Ian, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I already sent the information to Christopher May about what our insurance company required from him. So he has that.
Okay.
I agree with Jim with regards to the insurance aspects here. I think Christopher May and his organization should have insurance, and we should be named as an additional insured on that insurance. That's
exactly what Byron said, and he knows it's been sent to him.
I was unaware that Chris May had an organization, but I could be wrong about that. I don't know the particulars. But Vicki, I know that when we've had a dance instructor come in the past and we've used grant money that we've been awarded as the town to pay that person, I don't recall ever having insurance requirement, for that person to provide their own private insurance, right?
No, the dance instructor probably doesn't have the same kind of liability concerns that one would have on a skateboard park, but it was a town activity. We carry $54,000 worth of insurance to insure the town to do a few programs, soccer, baseball, you know, we did some karate, we did some cheerleading. Those were all covered. And, you know, this skateboard may rise to a higher level of what's considered dangerous. And, you know, like horseback riding, it's considered dangerous. Now, one thing I will say is that being a greenway community does provide additional insurance, perhaps to parks, for this kind of thing. And it is possible to contact the greenway community and see if a skateboarding program would add insurance liability, indemnifying the town as the primary. They have offered that to trails and parks where farming or horseback riding activities go onto private land. And they actually, if you're a greenway community, that was one of the benefits of doing that. When we were sued by a resident for a comprehensive plan, our greenway community had insurance liability because we did it as part of a greenway compact program. So that's one other thing we could do, rather than having this poor kid try and, you know, purchase insurance, which would certainly take more money than what he's probably getting for teaching lessons for free to our town residents.
So maybe we can break this down, Jim, just sort of line by line. But as far as requiring some sort of license because this individual is getting paid by the town to perform some activity on behalf of the town, I think that seems not controversial. I don't know if the rest of the board agrees, but that seems like a good idea to me. As far as requiring participants to sign a permission slip / waiver, also seems like and that it was actually one of the steps recommended in that New York municipal insurance reciprocal handout, which, you know, went out of its way to say that in general municipalities are relatively protected from, you know, generally if you decide you want to play baseball, you're agreeing to the risks associated with that sport. And the state, you know, as far as law is concerned, and you would know better than I, Ian and Jim, how this applies, but it seems like, you know, the law is pretty forgiving in that area. But I think a permission slip and whatnot is non-controversial. The insurance thing, I just think that's a real blow to our ability to hire people like dance instructors, hire people like Chris to do this program, hire anybody or allow somebody to volunteer who wants to, you know, have a pitching clinic. Or, I mean, Wayne, does he need insurance for the pickleball team? I don't know. But, you know, I think that's a really tall order to ask. If somebody is doing a program, is staffing a program on behalf of town rec. You know, I just think that's a real blocker. I mean, as you indicated, arguably basketball, football, those are higher risk activities in sports. This is happening on a town basketball court, you know, which is, we don't require waivers or proof of insurance to use those basketball courts. So I would not personally agree to that, but I'm not the insurance expert.
I don't know how much the premium would be for him to obtain that insurance. I just don't know. I don't know what the frequency of the lessons is going to be, how long they're going to be, you know, each session. So a lot of things I really don't know about.
Yeah, there's a lot of things with this that there was discussion about him building apparatuses, ramps, rails. So that was a concern as well. But again, they got to outline the program.
Hold on, because that's different. Equipment, that's a different story. As far as I'm aware, and I don't know if anybody else on the board has any other info, there's been no talk about a skateboard park or building equipment or setting equipment up. As far as I know.
Application.
No, he did.
It was in his application.
It's in his application.
A ramp of a certain height. So not to exceed X amount of inches. So no, a modest little ramp of some sort was included.
Okay.
But again, as Jim noted, it's not just the liability issues. That's probably the most significant issue, but there is the issue with regards to the unconstitutional gift aspect of this. So that's where it gets tricky, because there's two issues that we're trying to deal with here. The liability issue is obviously the biggest concerns for the town, because that's what, if someone gets injured, it could be an extensive liability situation, particularly with skateboarding or, like you said, higher risk sports.
But okay, I mean, with the equipment, let's separate that out for now, because there is no current equipment. The town doesn't own any equipment. I'm unaware that Chris owns any equipment. But anyways, assuming that there's no equipment, because if there is equipment, we do have an obligation as a town to make sure that that equipment is safe and, worthy of use and not a risk and in good condition and all that. That's a separate issue. But assuming that, let's say that somebody wanted to give basketball lessons on the basketball court, would we require them for free, to residents, for free, and they got a grant to do it? And they're going to show up on Saturday mornings at the town basketball courts where there's already existing infrastructure. Would we need that person to have their own insurance?
To be protected,
yeah.
they would.
Yes.
See, as Ian said, Damien, there are two issues. There is one of the unconstitutionality of giving money without an obligation, either statutorily or contractually, and the other one is liability. I can go over and we had that business with the snow removal before. I can do you a favor and go over and shovel your driveway because you're too lazy to do it, and I do a negligent job on it. It's more hazardous than it was before. I can be sued.
Yeah. No, I get that, but I mean, will you guys, as the lawyers here, will you guys grant me that New York State law does consider the risk to municipalities to providing recreational spaces and recreational programs? Will you guys allow me that it's not the same level of risk and liability that the scenario that Jim just described might be?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I'll
in the context really, but it's that's.
What do we need to do? What do we need to put in place in order to offer the skateboarding?
I think you should have some a service agreement indicating what each is providing. What's the consideration being exchanged back and forth for him to have the right to use the town property to run this skateboard program that he's being paid on.
So here's how we do the dance program. The dance instructor filled out a building use form. She was, in fact, going to hold classes on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays in September, October, November, and up until Christmas. So those are in mid-December. So it was clearly spelled out in the grant that she wrote. And it wasn't an unconstitutional gift. It was a stipend that was budgeted and put in our things. And we agreed to do the grant and describe the grant consistently. I think what stepped us off on the wrong foot here was that he applied for a grant that we didn't know about. And in the grant, he didn't specify what he was going to use the funds for exactly. Were we going to hire him for, every Saturday from spring until December? And when we gave him the $2,500, we might say, but you only ran 2 programs. But he'd say, but there were only one kid. Only one kid showed. So there's a lot of unknown here that started us off on the wrong foot. When you write a grant, you're required by the agency to say timeframes, and Berkshire Taconic didn't require that, as most do. They lay out a budget and they say you're going to need $50 for flyers to promote your program. You're going to spend $100 on equipment or costumes or whatever, and $2,500 goes as a stipend to the instructor. It's all very clear and what the actual program consists of. I don't see why we can't go backwards in time and say, Chris, here's what you would normally have done. You would have laid out exactly what it was, and the town board would have approved it. Yes, we're going to have events from May until June. Every Saturday, you're going to be down there, whether one kid shows up or 10, and that's what we're going to pay you $2,500 for.
I agreed. Guys, again, trying to list out the separate issues. What you guys are talking about right now is having a license with Chris to operate this that specifies what he's going to do and why we're paying him.
You need a piece of paper that says he agrees to do X.
I don't think that's controversial. I don't know. Does anybody disagree with that? I don't.
No.
Great. So that's set. That we're done with that one. The permission slip and the liability waiver for the kids or the participants also doesn't seem controversial. Any objections?
No.
Okay.
Does the town currently have waivers through the rec departments or?
Yes. Every participant that plays baseball has to fill out a form, and now
baseball does, but we don't have a general rec waiver, Dawn, that
that's
I'm
our
aware of.
rec program. And then when cheerleading was here, she had them sign it. We do have the form.
You have the
And
forms.
now the seniors, when the seniors go on their senior trip, we gave them to Michelle. She had them sign it.
Yes.
We did, and it looks just like the baseball form.
Great.
The thing is, you can't absolve yourself from your own negligence. So
Well, understood. All right, so let me address that last point. And that's now we're talking about his need to have insurance. And forget about Chris for a second. Let's think about dance. Let's think about all of the other sort of people that volunteer as coaches or volunteer to organize activities. Just think about the general case for a second. The municipal insurance reciprocal flyer that I gave out, it states this on legal liability. When municipalities sponsor activities or provide recreational facilities, they create the potential for liability claims. The general rule is that municipalities must exercise reasonable care against foreseeable dangers under the circumstances that exist at the time. This includes the duty to regularly inspect parks, fields, courts, and replace equipment within a reasonable period of time. If the defects cannot be corrected, a barrier should be placed and the facility should be taken offline. It then goes on to say, it talks about the Recreational Use Statute, and that's on page, if you want, Ian, I'll forward this to you, page 12. The Recreational Use Statute extends broad immunity from liability to private as well as governmental landowners against claims for ordinary negligence brought by members of the public who come on their property to engage in certain enumerated activities where the land is suitable for those activities. It then gives a whole bunch of specifics in the statute. And it does address things like if you are agreeing to get on a basketball court or if you're agreeing to participate in a baseball game, then you're acknowledging the risk. Acknowledging
Did you say that they would be exonerated for their own negligence? That's not New York law. I'm sure of that.
What?
That even if you're negligent, that a municipality would escape liability? Isn't that
No. I'll read it again. The Recreational Use Statute, which I can...
is that a New York statute?
Yeah, New York General Obligation Law, Section 9-103. Extends broad immunity from liability to private as well as government landowners against claims for ordinary negligence brought by members of the public who come on their property to engage in certain enumerated activities where the land is suitable for those activities. And this is what I was referring to. It's like, I mean, can you imagine, there wouldn't be a park in the entire state if every time a kid fell off the monkey bars and twisted their arm, or God forbid, I broke my nose in a Little League game. That's why it's all crooked like this when I was, I don't know, not great hand-eye coordination, 8-year-old Damien. No surprise there. But, you know, we didn't sue the town. With the Little League program didn't shut the doors and run away. Like, it would be impossible to provide recreational activities for the general public if we got sued every time somebody got hurt.
That's absolutely true. But I am totally unaware of any statute. You're telling me that there is one that would absolve a municipality from liability for its negligence.
I mean, look, I'm not a lawyer. I'm reading to you a pamphlet put together by New York.
I will check it out myself.
Well,
Okay.
that's also being
basically floors me.
it's also being read in a very specific context. Now, there are I've litigated numerous personal injury claims against municipalities. There are numerous different types of immunities, protections, private notice statutes. All of these things are in place. That doesn't absolve completely of liability, and it also doesn't stop you from getting sued.
Ian, are you saying that you're part of the problem, which is why we can't have any fun things?
I was on the defense side at the time, Damien. So
we're carrying a lot of insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we're not paying handsomely. The taxpayers are paying to have access to our parks. Now you're telling us that to volunteer to be a coach and to do a pickup game of volleyball somewhere, you have to have your own insurance because you're already freaking paying a lot of insurance on your tax bill. What are you talking about?
This isn't a pickup game. These are organized events like Little Leagues, Pop Warners, people coming in running programs. Those type of events are different than pickup games. That's not what we're talking about because the town has a right to have the park and have the park open to the public.
Sure, Ian,
but the public can't come in and play because if I want to come in and use the basketball court, but I can't because they're running skateboard on it, then that skateboard park's being run for a profitable gain for somebody.
Well, that's the red herring here, guys.
Profitable. This is
let's imagine that Chris had not been awarded that grant. He would have still volunteered. He did volunteer to do this program before he got awarded that grant. This is not do you guys understand the difference of that? I mean, it's like karate is probably a good example because that was a private enterprise that was looking to basically rent space at town hall for their dojo. They had private dojos in Connecticut or wherever they were. That's a business that is looking to come here and operate, just like the soccer clinic, right? Dawn Marie, they're a private business. They have their own insurance. Is that correct?
Yes, they have their own insurance.
So, I mean,
cheerleaders, did they have their own insurance?
Who?
The cheerleaders were a town-sponsored program.
As it skateboarding.
A town-sponsored program. Why wouldn't we have?
The rec did agree to sponsor the skateboarding as a town-sponsored program. So
It's not Little League coming in to run a program here. It's our own person, our own resident coming in to offer his services for a ridiculously low price. He still has to tell us what.
He's not our own person. He's an independent contractor. He's not an employee of the town.
No, none of these people are employees. They're volunteers.
You said he's our own person. He's not our own person.
He lives in Amenia, right?
That doesn't make any difference.
I don't understand.
I understand the practical problem of the insurance. I understand it. Believe me, I get it. And it may make it, not palatable for him to do it. I don't know. But there really should be insurance.
But the risk is the risk, and that's what.
That's why we have insurance, because there is risk. That's for rec programs. We as the town carry insurance to cover the programs that the town provides through its recreation commission. We do that. We do that already.
If something goes wrong, he should have his own insurance. The town should be an additional insured on that policy. Meaning when he is sued or we are sued, we issue a tender letter immediately to his insurance company and they provide the defense. We don't do anything. It's not a claim for us. It's all on him. That's how it should be set up.
Why would anybody agree to teach a dance program if we're going to obligate the dance instructor to have that?
Don't do that.
What's up?
There will not be a dance program. I mean, they're not going to carry insurance for a 4-month Saturday program, and then it's just not going to work. It's not going to be worth anybody's time. It's not worth their time right now. It's a gift to the town And it's a stipend to say, we appreciate you. It's not a business. It's not a wildly profitable thing where you would carry insurance and create a corporate entity. It's just not possible. You get a kid who says, I want to share my talents. That's what you get. They're not going to buy insurance.
I'll follow up with Christopher and Byron on the insurance issue. Do we want to authorize Ian to draw up a license agreement and with everything spelled out that he's going to be doing with the program?
I don't think we should do that. I don't
Yeah.
think we should do that until we know what is going to happen here.
Pay more money for something that probably isn't going to work out.
Hold on, but in general, and I said this at the last meeting, we're not going to pay Ian to do a license agreement that's specific in every single case. If we can have a general license agreement where this could be applicable to the dance instructor or the cheer coach or whomever it is that we determine.
A fitness instructor who comes in and says, let's do yoga 3 days a week.
Then, and this license agreement should say that you need to have your own insurance if you are not an official town program, right? If you're not a town program, if you're not working under the
So the building use permit does allow you, when you say, I'm going to use the auditorium for a dance classes, you know that you have to provide insurance if you're not part of the Amenia recreation program. If you're an outside entity, you have to pay the fee and provide insurance. But if you're town sponsored, the town of Amenia says, we want a dance program and you're going to be our dance person, and this is the program, then you fill out the form and we waive the insurance requirement.
We've done that all the time. 100% agree. I mean, and we've had this conversation before. That's why we've said in the past, people have come to the town board and said, I want to do this program. And we've said to them, that's great. Go talk to the rec commission. See if it's a program that they determine is in the best interest of the town and they want to sponsor it and it wants to be an official town offering. And if not, then you can come back to us as sort of a private entity and see if you could rent the facility. That's how we've handled it in the past, right?
And it's done. We've already written up the license agreement. I guess what's different here is that we don't have the same thing for use of the court, the basketball court, or the Beekman Park. And maybe that building use form maybe needs to be just made generic so that it's use of town facilities. You use the Beekman Park, okay, that cost is $100 if you want to use it for your birthday parties, activity, and it's available. I mean, can't we just modify that and just be done with it?
It seems reasonable to me. I mean, we talked about, whatever it was, half an hour ago.
May I make a suggestion to the board? Why don't I try to find out if there's, I can do a little further research on this with regards to how we can come up with a program for these smaller events here. Dancing, yoga class, whatever's happening. And see if I can't put together some sort of form that would work for the town, that would be compatible. I can do that. And then this way we can at least be protected and have a viable program. I mean, I understand where you're putting all these burdens on somebody, they're not gonna be able to do it. But
you also have to acknowledge, Ian, the history of the various programs that we have offered here in this town. And, there's an expectation for a lot of those that we're going to do those again post-COVID or, hopefully sooner rather than later. So,
I've represented a number of different municipalities and these issues come up with the rec departments or rec commissions, and they're problematic. They're problematic with function versus what the rules are with government and government property and government funds. So there's a constant battle between those two entities, and what makes sense and what's good for everybody may not necessarily be legal, and that's the hiccup. But let me see if I can find a way to get around it. Let's see if we can find a way, not get around it, but to satisfy everybody's needs here.
And not have to have a license for everybody.
Or create something that's standard that we can work with.
Like our building forum.
Perhaps.
But, you know, because it sounds like we need to have something for whatever we're offering on other parts of town property, like Beekman or the basketball courts, or,
well, parks
you know,
are going to be different.
We need to have something formalized.
Parks are going to be a little different, but we have, it sounds like that there are fees to use the town hall, but yet when people are coming in and using the park, there's no fees. I mean, other towns, they, you know, these organizations that come in and running private leagues and stuff, they pay the town to use the field. But and there's obligations back and forth and agreements between them.
But you are clear that for this particular example, the skateboarding program, they are not charging town residents to participate.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
And it is sponsored by the Recreation Commission.
Correct.
Because they're the ones that brought it up to begin with.
Right. And in the past, we have waived, like, for certain fees and insurances for certain activities that were taking place in the town hall, because we agreed that whatever that activity was going to be for was for a limited number of times, or a limited use, or it was going to be just something rather simple, like the dance program, like other things. We simply say, okay, it fits under our heading because it's in the town hall, and we're saying, okay, you don't have to pay either a fee or a thing. For example, when some people want to come in and have discussions on something, I don't know, basket weaving, for example, we just said, okay, that's a great thing, that people are interested in it. You may do it on such and such a date, such and such a time, and we won't charge you a fee, and you may come in and you may do it, and it'll be covered by us as the town activity. We've done that for a number of different things. Small things, granted, small things, usually individual day or two things or something like that. But we have that option as a town board.
Again, the fear there is a precedent of an unconstitutional gift by waiving that fee to a particular group or organization.
True enough.
If you do it for one, you got to do it for everybody down the line.
That's right.
Well, then I guess eventually everybody's going to have to pay us that quarter. What can I say? It's just gonna, if that's something that gets brought up to us as we're doing something that someone felt was inappropriate.
I'm sorry, Michelle, this unconstitutional gift thing is a red herring, guys. It's if with the town, Dawn Marie is not charged a building use fee for the town clerk to operate in the office in which she's sitting right now. The whole waiver of the fee historically has been in support of town activities, right?
It's true, yes. And,
so,
they took place in the building, or they generally took place in the building. Those fees that we
that's right.
We said.
Have there been accepted? Go ahead.
And people weren't charging anything. I mean,
exactly,
they weren't collecting a fee.
They were free events. We did free events in here. We did poetry reading one time, and the gentleman who played the ukulele. Hello.
I think we had drums at one time. Too.
Drums, yes, drum circle came, and we didn't charge anybody for it. We just opened it up to the community and say, come on in and enjoy this little bit of fun activity that we did.
If it's okay with the board, I will look into these types of activities versus the activities that we've been discussing. I can look into these activities to see if there are exceptions, are there forms, are there ways that we can keep these affordable and keep those programs running while protecting the town.
I agree. I would like you to do that myself personally. Yes, please.
I would cap his time at $1,000. I think we've done this with our building use fee. It worked fine. Maybe skateboarding is an anomaly, but I think we've been working along just fine up until now.
I mean, I feel the same way.
We need to modify the building form.
Yeah, but $1,000. Let's modify it to include some additional activities that we're experiencing. I don't think it's rocket science, but I could be wrong. We could turn it into rocket science.
I think we have already. I would also encourage the board members here, check out that municipal insurance reciprocal pamphlet I sent around. It's really like...
Thank you for sending us that. That'll be very helpful.
Written for non-lawyers to understand. And, obviously we should have a legal opinion here, but it's a good primer. Okay. So I think you got what you asked for, Ian, and are we good? Are we done with this?
I think so. Other matters, resolution number, Dawn?
26.
26?
Yes.
Transfer of funds for April 2021, whereas the town board has the authority to transfer funds when necessary or unanticipated to amend the budget. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 13554.01.044, assessor CE certs by $5,500 and decreasing 19004.01.049, special item contingencies by $5,500 for unanticipated legal costs. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 11104.01.068 justice CE mail postage by $11 and decreasing expense line 11104.01.065 justice CE supplies by $11 for postage costs. Whereas budget amendment in the highway fund, increasing expense line 50104.03 street admin contractual expend by $2,205 and decreasing expense line 17104.03 administration contractual by $2,205 for account reclassification by the New York State Comptroller's Office. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board authorizes the transfer of necessary budget lines to process the transactions. Can I make that motion?
Second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Smoji?
Yes.
Town board comments?
Yeah, Vicki had some correspondence with Steve Berndorf of USource about our concerns with their proposed contract. And he gave some dates and times when he would be available to discuss it with me. And I didn't contact him until this morning by email, asking him if he was still available today, and I didn't get a response. So it's not really his fault. It's my fault for waiting so long to get in touch with him. I expect that he will be in touch with me probably tomorrow or next week, and we'll discuss it at that time, and then I'll make a report to the board as to whether we were able to resolve some of these issues. I have my doubts that we can, but we'll see.
Are there any other town board comments, Vicki?
I have cleanup day is Saturday, April 24th, 9 to noon. And it will be a call for all volunteers to help clean up the roadside litter. You could also do trails. There's a number of civic groups that are going to be helping out, but volunteers can also do a stretch of their road. If you need help picking up the getting contractor bags, they'll be at not Beekman Park, but at Fountain Square or M&T Bank at the intersection of routes 343 and 22 and 44. right in the center of town. Right on the bench there will be some contractor bags you can use to clean up the hamlets. Or in Wassaic on Furnace Bank Road, right by the railroad tracks across from Maxon Mills, the Wassaic project gallery, you can pick up some bags there. And there'll be community groups in both areas. The Enhancement Committee is heading up the operations in Fountain Square in downtown Amenia. And the CAC, Conservation Advisory Council, is doing the section in the hamlet of Wassaic. So if you want to help out, that's great. If you want to have us swing by and pick up trash bags along sections that you've done, give me a call at 845-489-7826. Or Damien will also be picking up trash bags at 8, and you can call him at 845-321-4226. Love to have all the help we can get. And it needs to be a call to us by 11 o'clock, because by 11:30 noon, we're going to be finishing up and heading down to the transfer station with our trash. And we have to thank Welsh Sanitation for providing free disposal of roadside trash or trailside trash only. No household trash that day, just things that you've done to pick up litter around the community. Amenia Housing Board met recently. I guess our meeting was on Tuesday. We've been outlining properties that are possibilities that might provide affordable housing to the community, and working with Hudson River Housing to evaluate possibilities, and as part of the Tri-Town Coalition. The housing survey is still open, and Damien, do you want to describe the data scientists who you were considering volunteer for interpreting the results of the survey as an independent outside person?
Yeah, absolutely. And also I'll say thanks to Leo, the chair. He was on with Marshall on Robin Hood Radio 2 days ago, encouraging people to come and take the survey. We've had a tick up in responses since. So as Vicki indicated, go to our website, ameniany.gov, and right at the top there's a link. Click on that. And if you have not filled out the survey, we're hoping to hear from everybody in town, so please do that. I sent an email around just because I had a conversation with a local resident who actually took the housing survey because of all the banging on we've been doing here on the town board meetings to take it. And he had a few questions, a few pointers. We made fun of how rusty I am from my undergraduate days of survey analysis and survey design. And so he's a legit, has a doctorate in data science, worked for New York City's health department for many years. He's now working in the private sector. And he said that he would be more than happy to be a town volunteer to help us understand these survey results, help us design better surveys in the future, all sorts of, just help a numbers guy, help us understand like water usage trends in our water district or whatever we want to ask him to do. I mean, in a volunteer capacity, he's got a full-time job, but if the board is interested, I'll ask him to write a letter outlining his desire to volunteer, and we can circulate that. As I think we need a position, but that's up to the board.
Can he just start by volunteering, being a volunteer for the housing board and help us interpret our survey and just get our feet in the door? I mean, I'm sure we'll find other uses for him, but it would be great to have him on as a resource. And the listening sessions, trying to make sense out of what questions to ask and how to make this into a meaningful summer, right?
Yeah, I'll definitely ask him. I mean, he might be watching, but I'll certainly ask him about that. I don't want to speak for him. I think he would be amenable to that. But I do also think it would be a valuable position for the town to have as a staffed volunteer. I mean, only because like the general role of social and data science in helping vet and inform policy and just helping municipal leaders understand, really complicated data sets, whether it's water usage or, taxes over time or whatever. It's helpful to have a numbers guide. We have a lot of really talented people in this town that are willing to throw their hat into the ring in various capacities. So something to think about. I'll speak to Mike and we'll let you guys know. There was one other thing. Sorry, Vicki, are you done or do you want to?
I had one more thing, but go ahead. Okay, so 10 Mile River Collaborative, we're having a meeting tomorrow at 3:30 at Borden Park. I think it's me and the CAC head, which is Michael Peak, and I guess Victoria, if you have time. We're going to be meeting.
I'll be there.
Okay, so we're meeting across the street from.
She forwarded the email to me.
Okay, so we're going to be reviewing projects for the 10 Mile River Watershed Implementation Strategy. And we came up with 3 of them, 3 projects. One was signage and park amenities for old Amenia landfill. And the second one was relocation of the highway garage salt shed pile to the new proposed highway garage area. These are projects that would be applied for funding that would affect watershed quality, water quality beyond Amenias. If we do something, positive, it affects the water quality in Dover and it affects us. So that's the kind of projects we're looking for. And the third one was ADA compliant access to the Wassaic project, Wassaic Park, to the both the park playground equipment, but also to the fishing access, which is something we've talked about for a while but haven't actually implemented. So those are 3. If anybody thinks of other water quality or river recreational opportunities that we didn't think of, please let us know.
I second the fishing access would be huge if we could get that built, because there's people currently parking along Simpatch there, just sort of off on the grass on the side, and hiking down to fish. It's high trout season right now, so there's always a car pulled over there, and then a dude in waders down in the river. But that would be great. I also thought Michelle's suggestion for Wassaic Park, having some sort of sensory garden there, was a great idea. And I know that we talked about a bigger sort of planning exercise for Wassaic Park there, but maybe even as an interim step, that could be something that you guys consider, especially since you'll be right there.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully we won't get snowed on.
There's another thing. You actually brought up a subject, and I also want to remember to do this, is that we do need to review the impact of the water billing and the zero reads. And I appreciate, Victoria, that you outlined the meter reads in the water district that are still giving us problems, and how we can make this water district more, the billing system be more equitable, or give us more faith that it's working properly. It just
It's not the billing system, it's the meters.
The water meters have never worked properly, as far as my understanding, and I do miss having a water committee which would advocate, for X, Y, and Z, and none of us live in the water district. All of our town officials are outside of it. So we are really kind of more disconnected than I'd like to see, and I would like to see a water committee reinstated of community members who are affected by our increased water charges. And, the big hurdle we face in trying to do capital improvements over time on such a limited 300-person body of people. It's a quandary, and we need to make some improvements that are going to be expensive, and we're going to have to figure out how to pay for it and get people on board and understand where we need to start and how we're going to accomplish what we need to do over the next 10 years. That's my report. Thanks.
There any other town board comments?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I just have a couple of comments. One, for cleanup. Tally Ho today had our big bulk cleanup. It started at 8 a.m. and it finished it was still running when the rain started coming down. The owners of the park did all the pickup themselves. And what they did was they came through with various trucks, and depending on what kind of material was in your yard, it went into that truck. So they had trucks that picked up metal, trucks that picked up furniture or something like that. So they had it all dispensed out like that, and they cleaned up the park beautifully, efficiently, and it's marvelous that they did it. And so I thank Marianne Lugo for helping arrange that for us, and I definitely thank Mr. Lois and his family for the hard work they put into it. Also, we had our streets cleaned already. We had the street sweepers in. So we do take care of our park. We're very proud of our park down here. And one of the things we're looking forward to, hopefully, the COVID thing lifting, and everybody here in Tally Ho can start doing certain things. And one thing I'm looking forward to is a first trip, hopefully, to Lake George. Their offices for scheduling a trip open up in May, first week of May. And so I have an idea. It's going to be in August. I'm going to try and do a Wednesday. And I've already contacted JTR, letting them know that we would like to go, because they send me things. If you'd like to go, this is this and this is that. And then they'll be answering all of my questions about how we have to do such things as traveling on their buses and going to Lake George and things like that. And when I get all that information, I'll let everyone know. And basically right now, I do want to thank the firehouses for their chicken dinners and stuff. I really do. I look forward to it, and I know a lot of the seniors look forward to it too here in our communities around here. We enjoy it very much. And I just want to give a shout out to Dawn Marie. She works very hard in that office. I know people say town clerk, and people hear the word clerk. They hear the word clerk from the old definition as the lowest level of a secretary. That's not what she is. Believe me, she's the hub in that town clerk office. She's the one who's collecting she's collecting our tax money for us so that we can do the things we do in this town. She's giving the people their fishing permits so they can fish in our rivers and lakes, and everything else, the dog licensing, all of those things that are community based, that each individual here in Amenia needs to know about. Even if it's getting your pass to put on your windshield because of a handicap sticker and stuff like that. So the town clerk's office provides an enormous amount of information and for the town and the people of Amenia. I'm not saying the other people in town hall don't. They all do. I respect all of them, but her door is like it's the first door they find. If they can't find anybody else, they find Dawn Marie. I know I do. So I just want to say thank you to her, and also thank you to all the people who do work in the town hall, all of our secretaries and stuff, and especially, and also to Victoria. I have to say, Victoria, God bless you. That's all I have to say is God bless you for all the things you have to deal with. And I know from sitting with me with conversations, sometimes it's a little bit hairy, but I want you to know that I do appreciate what you do, and I know by going out and talking with people in the community who just walk by me or talk to me or see me, tell me that they appreciate Dawn Marie, and they definitely appreciate Victoria for the things that she does. And I'm just happy to be a part of this little town board and serving the town of Amenia. And basically that's all I have to say, except seniors, look forward. We're going to have some things this year, and we're going to do some things. We're going to work our way around COVID and come out on the bright side of it. So you all have a great and wonderful weekend, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Michelle. And folks in the public may not know this, but like the five of us, we can't just all hang out, right? Like there's open meeting law that requires us to advertise our location. We gotta share our love for one another during these meetings because there's no other time. I have a couple of things. I'll make it really quick. Just updates on stuff that I'm working on. So website project. There is a draft website up, and Victoria, I am going through that and making notes for the county, and also working on the integrations that they have asked us for.
Are we meeting tomorrow?
Our meeting is on the calendar for tomorrow at 2 p.m. So if you're going to be in the park,
I won't be in the park till 3:30, so.
Okay, yeah, we're on for 2 p.m. tomorrow. So that's in progress. I'm also working on the auditorium estimate per Vicky's suggestion during our last conversation. Have reached out to a couple of firms to help us with that. Data sciences, housing we covered already. Wastewater, Jim, I don't believe we've met in a while, but I think the latest update we heard from Victoria and Aaron was that there had not been a decision yet on the grant award.
No.
That's in progress there. And the last thing that I would just want to say is this is the second time we've mentioned the funds that we will be receiving from the federal. I can't remember. Is it the CARES Act?
American Rescue Act.
American Rescue Act or program. So the $480,000. I know there's going to be a long list of projects and funding requests and this and that. I just want to remind my colleagues here and our town budget officer that it would be great if we could possibly repair some of the budget cuts and some of the depletion of the reserve fund.
We're not allowed to do that.
Fair enough, but some of the budget cuts, some of the things that we cut during last year's budget when we were under full austerity mode during budget season, it would be good to at minimum use that money to try and get us back to where we were pre-COVID, if that's possible, before we start spending it on new things.
Well, one thing that'll be helpful is that now that our AIM funding has been restored and we won't be getting 20% less of that. And we were surprised that, we're expecting a growth payment from the county for sales tax, which we didn't think we were going to be getting. So there's kind of money coming in that was totally unexpected. So, we'll be able to do some things that, we weren't able to do.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And that's it. That's all I had on my list.
Well, if there's no more comments, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session. Kent Hollow litigation, and the town attorney, the town clerk, and Councilwoman Doyle are excused. Is there a second?
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Council members Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Samoji.
Yes.
Great, thank you. That concludes at 9:10 p.m.